Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Thursday, June the 1st, 2023. Yesterday, I made a video about Prince Harry and I was asking the question, what advice would I give him astrologically? And I looked at some of the comments that you made about this video. There's a lot of negativity about Harry. People don't like him. I understand that. But what I was trying to do was, focus on his chart from a positive angle. And, if you don't like Prince Harry, you probably like his wife even less. But I do want to look at her chart from a positive angle. What would I say if she was consulting me? Of course, she wouldn't consult me. I'm sure that she wouldn't find what I said remotely useful. But I'm just speculating. How would I be positive? What would I say? Now, when doing a chart, I try not to moralize. It's not my job to moralize. It's not my job to tell clients what to do, what not to do, to tell them that something is wrong. That is not my job. Furthermore, I have to do the reading from the perspective of my client's reality. What they're trying to achieve. Of course, if I believe they can't achieve it, I will tell them. I'm completely honest about that. So that's how I'm looking at the chart. So here's the question. What should Meghan Markle be doing? What should she be doing? I mean, the impression I get is she's getting everything wrong. Is that right? I don't know. The best I can do is look at her horoscope. So, when I look at a horoscope, I try to focus on what I see. I don't make things up. And I'm quite honest about, the bad things that I see. I don't sugarcoat what I say. And from a commercial point of view, that's probably not very sensible. Anyway, let's look at Meghan Markle's horoscope. One more time. Apologies if you find this boring or worse. But here it is. And now our job is not to tear it to shreds, even if we might want to tear it to shreds. Our job is to look at what she's doing. Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? Now, first thing we notice, at least what I notice about Meghan's chart. Okay, first thing is, she's a Leo. That Mercury, her Mercury really stands out. There's her Mercury in the first house, conjunct the Sun. Now, I've mentioned this before, and with Mercury in Leo conjunct the Sun, Mercury will not be told. Mercury is supposed to be the planet of communication, of intellect, of thought, but when it's in Leo conjunct the Sun, it is just completely focused on one view of the world. It finds it very difficult to change course. So that's the kind of person we're dealing with. Someone who wouldn't listen to someone like me. If she was consulting an astrologer, I think she'd want the kind of astrologer who would just tell her what she wanted to hear. That's my feeling. She shouldn't come to me for a reading. But we have to be careful about being too negative about this Mercury, because she has the North Node in the first house. So if you've got North Node in the first house, it means you should be putting yourself first. And if you've got North Node in Leo in the first house, even more so. Yeah, I mean, I know that she's got Cancer rising. Some astrologers who are using whole sign houses might argue that her Mercury is in the second house. But in terms of the astrology I practice, I would very much regard that North Node and the Mercury in the first. So yeah, she's kind of doing the right thing by being so focused on herself and her own interests. So that's why we need to not be too keen. We must avoid moralizing. Here is someone who should be selfish. So Meghan's selfishness is actually in accord with her own destiny. So we certainly shouldn't criticize her for being selfish. Indeed, we should probably encourage her to be selfish. It's the right thing to do. And where is the South Node? The South Node is the seventh house. The South Node is where we're coming from. And the seventh house is about being about other people. It's about looking after other people's interests. Yeah, that's not for her. And it's great that she's been able to recognize that and to do everything on her own terms. She's not going to want to be in England. She's not going to want to do things for Harry. She's not going to want to support Harry when he's in the rushing around the world. I think he's got various court cases, hasn't he, in the UK, and then he's got all this stuff with his visa application. Isn't that right? But her job is not to go and support him, and that's great. She's really into she is into her karma. She's doing the right thing for herself. Yes, we're thinking, oh, Harry has got all these problems. He's got psychological issues, perhaps, I think. I think they're going to get worse. So should Meghan be setting herself up as a psychiatric nurse to support her husband? No, not at all. Because she's got North Node in Leo in the first house. She's got to think of herself first. And so by doing this, I know she's getting a lot of criticism, but it's absolutely correct. Now, another thing about Meghan is that in a way, it's a shame that she wasn't able to be successful in her career earlier. She was born with this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Libra, and that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is it's really powerful. Saturn in Libra is exalted in Libra, and the people who were born around that Saturn Libra conjunction, for example, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, they were born around then in the early 80s. They became successful through things like reality TV and becoming famous because they're famous. And it's a shame she didn't get involved in reality TV or find a way to get involved over 20 years ago, when it became such a big thing. Maybe she just didn't have the opportunities. Maybe she just didn't have the connections at the time. But that's a shame that she wasn't able to do that. But I do think that in order to be successful, Meghan kind of needs to recognize that what she's trying to do is be famous for being famous. I think she needs to accept that she doesn't really have a great deal of hinterland there. But she has missed the reality TV boat, I suppose. So now, as we move into a new world, new reality, that's something she has to consider. But this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is sextile her Mercury. That's really good. I think that she is someone who does have an ability to communicate, no doubt about that. But I'm wondering if she's kind of communicating in the wrong way. We've got the South Node is all about being selfless. If she's moving away from that, she's someone who should be really self-orientated. And I'm wondering what she needs to do is turn this into a virtue. There is a place for, advocates of pure self-interest. Why does she have to wrap her self-interest with this sort of veneer of helping society, empowering women, all this kind of stuff? We know it's not sincere. We know it's not meaningful. Why doesn't she just come out and be clear that she's in it for herself, and without any apology? If she's mistreated Harry, so what? Just be open about it. This is the way it is. This is the new way of being. I think that's what she should do. I also think that it's probably quite important for her to get rid of Harry. Now, why would I say that? It kind of relates to what I was saying yesterday. I was looking at Harry's chart and trying to work out Harry's north and south nodes. So let me just look at Harry's chart. This video is really about Meghan's chart, but I had some further thoughts about Harry's chart. And the thing about Harry is he's got Saturn very close to the midheaven, and in Western astrology, the midheaven is kind of connected with the mother. Now you might say, oh, but Saturn is technically in the ninth, but as far as I'm concerned, it's within 5 degrees of the midheaven, and so I think that's really hitting the parental axis. Now you might think that Diana is not Saturn, the memory of Diana. She's more like Venus or the moon, but maybe Saturn is Diana. Maybe Saturn is the whole experience of his mother dying, that she's now, her memory is hanging over him like a spectre and is kind of ossifying him. And this contrasts, by the way, with the moon. And I was thinking, is the moon in Taurus? Logically, that would be Diana, the grounding he's looking for. But his father had the moon in Taurus. Now, normally you'd think the moon is the woman, that Saturn is the man. But I'm thinking in Harry's case, it might be all messed up. And moon in Taurus is the land. His father's into, as I said yesterday, his father is into, organic farming and all this kind of stuff. And so that 10th house, the mother, that it's hanging over him. Now, how does this impact his relationship with Meghan? Well, as I've said before, that Saturn really hits Meghan. Now just remember, his Saturn is at 1251 Scorpio. And, I'm suggesting that Saturn is the ossified memory of his mother, which is dominating his reality. Now, remember, 1251 Scorpio. Now let's go to Meghan's chart. Meghan has, this is her Venus and this is her Mars. So She's got Sun on the Venus-Mars midpoint. So Meghan with the Sun on the Venus-Mars midpoint, that Sun on the Venus-Mars midpoint is all about her sexuality. It's about how she expresses herself in a sexual sense. It's about it's about how she relates to the opposite sex. It's not just it's not just about sex. It's about charisma, how she moves forward in the world. And so it's really important, and it's a great perhaps explainer of her success as an actress and someone who's able to. Okay, I know you said she is not a super successful actress, but she got somewhere, and then she was able to meet Harry, and that Sun on the Venus-Mars midpoint must have played a big role in how she attracted him. Now, so Harry's Saturn is exactly square her Sun, and her Sun is on the Venus-Mars midpoint. So that Saturn, that mother, that ever-present mother, is hitting Meghan. And one thinks of that terrible thing when he was talking about his, what was it? I don't even want to talk about it. Talking about his frostbitten private parts and using some cream that his mother used, and how the smell of his cream reminded him of his mother, and all of this kind of stuff. That is that Saturn. That is that Saturn, that ever-present Saturn, sitting on his midheaven, and that ever-present Saturn is hitting poor Meghan's Sun. The Sun on the Venus-Mars midpoint. So you can imagine what kind of things Harry is projecting on Meghan, as a woman, as a sexual being. That must be absolutely ghastly. And so I think that is the reason why Meghan needs to get rid of Harry, from a point of view of her future, her development, her self-expression. And she doesn't have to, because she's got the North Node in the first house. She doesn't have to apologize. She can be completely, she can be completely clear about it. And, with that North Node in the first house, and this is a point about abandoning morality. One's job as an astrologer is not to be moral. And I'm reminded of something Aleister Crowley said, the great sort of British occultist, and I think it was in one of his autobiography. I think he described it as an autohagiography. I think that was one. He talked about his relationship with this young man called Loveday, and Loveday thought Crowley was great, and Loveday went to Sicily and stayed in Crowley's religious compound, and anyway, Loveday got sick and he died. And Crowley remarked, he said something like that Crowley said that Loveday was like a match. He had lit his cigar and his purpose was done. So, in the same way, Harry is like a match. He has lit Meghan's cigar, he's done what he needs to do, and he's now surplus to requirement, and that's fine. And so, Meghan doesn't want to carry a load of spent matches with her. He's done. He's finished. He's completed his purpose, and so Meghan can be utterly selfish about it, and she can now get rid of Harry. Although she's got to think about the children, do what's necessary there, but always she needs to put herself first. That's right for her. And what now? I don't know. I think she should forget all of this woke stuff, all of this stuff about rights and pretend that she's helping other people. She should just be honest. She should just completely reinvent herself now as telling people to be selfish, think about yourself, don't allow your life to be destroyed by your concerns about family and so forth. And that's what I think she should do. Maybe that's what my advice would be. And and of course she's got that Mercury. She doesn't have to change her mind. Actually, she's never going to change her mind. She's not someone who's going to listen to other people's opinions. She just needs to realize it for herself, that she's in it for herself, and that's what she should do. And that's it. That's my view on Meghan. And remember, it doesn't matter what we think of Meghan. It doesn't matter that we don't like Meghan, because after all, it's all about Meghan, isn't it? And we need to do what's best for Meghan. So anyway, that's what I think, and I hope you're not too offended by it. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon.